Hey guys, in this episode, we're going to talk about COVID and its impact to the global economy.
There will not be 100% vaccination.
Yeah.
It's about adapting to this new normal.
I think India is getting a very bad situation.
India is the 5th largest global economy. Once a 5th largest industry at 1.6 billion shuts, it's going to affect everybody so badly.
Q2, Q3, you can easily tell which companies are going to go up, which companies are going to go down.
I think interest rate will continue to remain low because people are speculating that interest rate is going to go up.
Nah.
Because when
I don't think so.
You actually increase your price. COVID is one of the best excuses to
Yes.
increase your price. That's where inflation comes in.
Hey guys, welcome to Cafe Money, and in this episode, we're going to talk about COVID and more importantly, what's going to happen to the global economy in the next few years to come. I'm sure you have seen in the market right now whereby all the stocks is going sideways. People are concerning. Is the next crash coming? What are they supposed to do if COVID is not going to go off in the next 6 months? So Ken, understanding you've done some research, right? What do you think is this whole pandemic about and where do you think it's heading to?
I think to understand whole COVID, you must understand what's going to be the outcome of this whole COVID situation. Let's break down to the facts which nobody can argue with. First fact, you must understand that after vaccination, you still can get COVID. And fact number two, that there will not be 100% vaccination. Eventually, there will still a few people around who are not vaccinated.
Yeah.
So COVID is going to continue happening for a very, very long time. The world needs to live with it. We can come out to a conclusion that, number one, we will live with COVID just like with HIV.
It's like a permanent thing that's right now.
It's going to
with
be
us.
permanent. And the second thing that is going to be confirmed is like every other flu, eventually like SARS, like every other flu out there, the Spanish flu and stuff, it will be mutated away. That is how the flu virus works. I mean, for now, the world cannot remain locked down forever, and eventually travel will open up. But the way we travel, the way we do our things like cleanliness and stuff, a lot of things are going to change.
This is going to happen for prolonged. And I know that a lot of people came into 2021 trying and hoping that it's going to be over soon. Economy is going to bounce back up to normal again. Planes are going to be all on the air once again, right?
Not gonna happen, man.
From what you have just shared and from what we have experienced, and of course, us doing our research, I don't think this is going to happen soon.
Yeah.
It's about adapting to this new normal, right?
I think at the end of 2020 last year, there was a lot of hope that, the economy is going to recover this year. And in fact, Singapore and Hong Kong, we were having a lot of speculation about having that travel bubble that, we can start traveling. But it just didn't happen because the cases just keep going up. I think India is really getting a very bad situation with COVID. So I was watching some videos on it.
Yeah.
Really sad because right now the hospitals, they really cannot accommodate to so many people, so many patients, right? And volunteers have to come out. They don't have sufficient oxygen tank. They are dying because of the lack of oxygen. So there are a lot of volunteers, they come out, they help to bring this oxygen tank, and they set up this like makeshift tent for the patients to rest there and to receive this oxygen thing so that they can breathe properly. I was watching the video, and who takes care of these patients? It's not medical people, not nurses, not doctors, because they are in the hospital, right?
Yep.
This makeshift tent, they are taken care by volunteers and the family members of the patient, and they are not protected with any medical
Great equipment.
Yeah, and you can see they are wearing masks that is not medical grade. So imagine you are sick, you are wearing the mask, and I'm just beside you, just wearing a mask and then taking care of you. So, I mean, it's just a matter of time that everybody who is there will catch the virus.
How do you think this whole India situation will play out, like at least in the next 1 month?
I think it's going to increase exponentially, and maybe some of the cases is not even reported.
Yeah, I guess wave 3 may hit quite soon and it's going to be bad.
I think wave 2 is not even over. It's going to get a lot worse because she's talking about the caretakers themselves are now agents. They are the virus agents now because they can pass to more people, right? And it's just going to go on this rapid pace. Not too sure about how accurate is the recent report. It says that the India strain happens to be more contagious, right? More infectious, right? So I think it's going to be hit so badly. And let's not forget, India is the 5th largest global economy.
Wow.
Despite its like GDP and all, right?
Yeah.
So it provides the biggest manpower and production to many countries as well.
Yes.
And in fact, even IT infrastructures and knowledge, right? So once a 5th largest industry at 1.6 billion shuts, right, it's going to affect everybody so badly. chain reaction is about to happen very soon.
I think I put out some numbers, like the amount of death in India is like 200,000.
Yes.
Why do I think this is going to get a lot more worse? Because their population is 1.3, 1.5 billion,
Yeah.
something like that. And 200,000 deaths. If you're looking at the States, 300 million, but 300 to 400,000 deaths.
Yeah.
So it's going to
It's gonna get a lot worse.
And I mean, also thinking about like the living environment of the people over there, right? It's not clean. It's very easy for them to get infected with the disease because they are so close and they don't have that kind of facilities and sanitizing and taking temperature. They don't have that kind of tracking system over there like what we have in Singapore. So I think it's a privilege that we are quite well protected. And even then, right, because of the mutation, right, even right now, Singapore is also increasing in the number of cases in Singapore. So we are moving back to phase 2.
Yes.
Hopefully we not have the next
lockdown.
circuit breaker
Which is a lockdown, right? That would be terrible for economy and everything, right? But I think what this taught us is that the battle is not over yet. It's not about waiting anymore. I think it's about understanding if this is going to be ongoing, then how do you deal with a climate where it's still around? If people got affected, they now have to stay from home. Face-to-face interaction becomes reduced over the last year, this year, and perhaps many more years to come. The value of face-to-face is exposing to risk. There might be third, fourth, fifth, sixth wave, right? So in a market like this and seeing a sideways market, right, Ken, what do you think about this whole situation right now?
Before this podcast, Benny brought some points on the labor markets and how it will affect us, like inflation and stuff. I will argue based on deflationary while you argue based on inflationary. So why is it inflationary?
When the developing nation do not produce the manpower that is required in many areas, what you will see is that there will be a short-term shortage of supply and there will be a long queue in terms of production of homes, right, constructions, and even supplies, right? And that will force a squeeze in terms of inflation.
So there's a delay in the
Construction,
all these projects
yes,
and
projects,
all the
supplies.
constructions.
And things are going to go expensive. And when things go expensive, there is still a current demand of wanting them. So in the very short terms, you start to see spikes of prices because of scarcity. If the raw supply go up by 30%, it trickle down into maybe 60% because they all go by multiplier of margins, right? Yeah. So the actual ground hit will be as such. And I see this as a very short-term inflationary outcome. So in the deflationary standpoint, how do you look at it?
I actually foresee a lack of supply. I mean, lack of like metal, pure pressure. In recent case, lumber price has doubled.
Yep.
So now why do I think it's going to be deflationary? Because when you have a sudden surge, in the sudden surge of price, the demand production will ramp up too much. Then you're like, okay, you got too much now. So that's where the deflationary forces will come in. Is you suddenly see a dip. So I do not think it's going to be a permanent inflationary force. And of course, with innovation and stuff like production being more productive, I do believe there is a lot of deflationary force here. But actually back to you made out the point about manpower. You know, in Singapore, the people who build our houses, I recently heard that last time you used to need to wait for 5 years for a brand new house.
Yep.
3 to 4 years, probably now
For
it's
private,
about
for government, it's probably like 5 years. Now it's like 7.
5 to 6 years to 7 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Shit.
7 years and
Then the last episode you're talking about buying a house, right?
Yeah.
So I think you better buy soon because the price is going to go up.
If I want to buy a new property, a new launch, right, I have to wait for a very, very long time for the completion. People like me will be looking at resale market. And as a result, if let's say people getting married, they want a home, they want a place to stay, they want to move out of their house, they will also be looking at the resale market.
the need for a bigger home is definitely there. It will cause the upswing of demand to go to somewhere else. So when everybody decided not to travel or cannot travel, you see a big surge in F&B revenue in Singapore for the last quarter of the year. Because I need to spend money, I just don't know where to spend. Right? So the demand will always shift. For in this case in Singapore, the demand will shift to resale property. When it comes to this demand shift, right, I start to see a very weird scenario right now because I do see demand shift, I do see a short-term deflation coming up, but I want to relate back to a big conversation, which is stocks. And it's going sideways like forever. Like,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So where do you think it's going, or how do you think it will pan up to be in the next 1-2 years to come?
Last year, you know, innovative, disruptive companies are kind of like it came down from the top down about 30%. the thing is, you must understand that last year it had a crazy growth and it was growing so high. So let's say this is the path upwards, it was going this high and these value companies were like, they're like shit. But lately, it's like Bitcoin. You know, Bitcoin, when it goes up, then a while later, all the shit coins starts to go up. Yeah. So the same thing is happening to this. All the innovative companies are like, we went up like hundreds of percent. So now the shit companies are being pulled up.
The old value companies. Oh, no.
Yeah, they are being pulled up. And now it's like, I do believe it's going to like sideways for now. So now is where the normal market begins. So the fight on who is going to do best. And I believe in the next like Q2, Q3, you can easily tell which companies are going to go up, which companies are going to go down. Financials has went up by 20%. Energy has went up about 40%. What you need to see is future predicted quarterly earnings. And great companies, disruptive companies, you can see the big gap in between.
Yeah.
Like for example, like Tesla, they are sold out for Q2. Just to let you know. Yep.
Globally or Singapore?
In the US, probably it's sold out Q2. But in China, because they're producing like nobody's business, in Singapore, I need to wait for my Tesla in Q3.
So will we expect a Tesla video in your Chicken Genius channel soon on Q3?
Probably.
Can I test drive?
Definitely. You're welcome to that. I believe the growth for Tesla is bigger than ever because the market is discounting it, and this is the best time to buy. If you are going to wait for good news to come, the stock to surge, too late. This is the time to consolidate. Don't complain that it's sideways for a while. This is just the stock market being a stock market. I remember 2017, 2018 is a flat market. So there are some years that it will just surge and it will just sideways. So consolidation is the best way to build your portfolio.
For Qiuyu, are you worried about your portfolio right now? Because you are quite heavily into stocks last year. And what is your plan?
There's nothing to worry about. I mean, if you really believe in a stock that is a growth stock, eventually it's going to go up, right? So it's about dollar cost averaging. I still stick by it. Dollar cost average it out. If it is low, even better, right? Then isn't this the best time to go in?
Exactly. But can I ask you that? Do you understand what you're investing in?
I don't.
You follow me because I buy Tesla.
Yeah.
Right. But why don't you understand Tesla on a deeper level? Because if shit happens, you cannot depend on me being here mentally for you. Let's say if I'm not around, like tomorrow something happens to me.
Do I understand? Yes, I do. So I read out a little bit on it, but I don't think I'm like obviously not as deep as you into like reading out what the company does every single day, all of those. So I believe in what the company does, in the vision and what they're going to bring, technology. And the advancement, right? That's what we need, man.
Yeah.
I mean, like we are really shifting. So it is not something like a traditional business that is relying on their own traditional way of running their business where there is no growth. So I do think that it is definitely a growth stock for
Great.
me.
So I got this tip for you. I mean, if you want to understand better and probably spend like maybe 5-10 minutes a day to understand the stock. In Tesla, we have our community. So just download Twitter and you just follow the Tesla main accounts, or you just watch Tesla YouTube.
Can I just follow you?
I mean, you got to be. I mean,
plus following him. So what he's trying to say, please get a fundamental right.
I mean, as long I would say yes anytime, but I mean, I got to be very neutral about this. You just need to follow other people because there's a percentage that I could be wrong.
I think that because of the recent saga in some parts of the world where COVID is rising again, I think interest rate will continue to remain low because people are speculating the interest rate is going to go up.
Nah.
Yes, because
I don't think so.
Because when the interest rate go up, actually the stock market will deflate down, right?
Yeah.
But if interest rate keep on staying low and money is free, right? Actually, we might even see the next rise in all the stocks market again because leverage money is cheap right now. We need more money to be pumped into the economy to make sure that there's blah, 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 and all these stimulus might be coming in from different parts of the world again, right? So I do think that in a short run of a year or two, right, we might start to see another rise of the stock market again.
Are you talking about like people having nowhere to spend their money? They don't spend it elsewhere on traveling or things like that. You can also see from last year, right, there's a surge in the number of people who get into the stock market.
Yeah, I say yes. I think global adoption of stock investor have increased. What I mean was allocation in terms of growth. So we all know that when interest rate is high, usually borrowing is low.
Yep.
The stocks price adjust down because now there's a lot of borrowed money in the stocks market.
Yeah, and the multiple will drop. Yeah.
Yes. And if the interest rate remains low, by all these factors and stimulus are going to come in, then there's no reason for the stock to correct downwards. So that's just my prediction. It will still keep going up for quite a while.
Fed Chair Powell, he came out so many times and said, we are not going to look at interest rates increase until like end 2022, 23. He outright said it. Even recently when Janet Yellen, the ex-chair, she retracted a statement after a while. She talks about interest rates going up. Then Powell had to come out again that it's not even on my mind that increase interest rates right now. So he's repeated this so many times. Yes, I do agree that interest rates have to go up, but it's not so soon.
Exactly. It's just not economically wise to do it right now in a shrinking economy, because the economy literally functions as volume of transaction. Yeah. And when COVID happens and everybody stay at home, the volume of transaction drop, economy will shrink. On a shrinking market, you increase interest rate. You are not dumping money into the market, right? It's just going to be like Great Depression once again. So this version will not let that happen. Exactly. Right? This current world. So I know this is going to happen. And I think that because of all this thing, and the market, if it keep going sideways, even for a while, even if it doesn't go up, right? I think there'll be more and more people interested and will be jumping into the crypto scene because people are boring.
There's Dogecoin to the moon.
Yeah, they're like, if Tesla is no longer going to the moon for the next 1 year, where's the next thing is going to the moon? You get it, right?
Yeah. It's just, find something interesting to do.
Sadly, it's just like this. I mean, look at the property bubbles. You know, when the stocks are like a little bit flatline, people just whack property until it went bananas, right? It's always the case. So I think property is really, in a way, in the States, like pretty all-time high. Rental yield is totally a joke right now. So I don't think that will grow as fast as stocks, and these two will never grow as fast as crypto right now. Yeah. So I will still say that allocation and risk is up to individual, but the space of crypto will keep growing. Bitcoin will not see a drastic correction with such climate. Will it drop a little bit and bounce back up? It always does, right? But I would say correcting to 20,000, 30,000, I don't think it's like, it's not going to have that last crash that people are thinking
I also would
about.
like to add that this is not the time to sell. In fact, if you are thinking of the next correction, the correction just happened. So it's not going to happen. The thing about corrections, you need to understand that if it's a known factor, it is not going to happen. It's always the unknowns that cause a crash. If you think about the next wave of COVID, it's not going to cause a stock market crash.
Actually, you are right. The last S&P correction was like 10% just recently, months ago.
Is it? I didn't feel it.
January,
yeah, there was January, February, there was a correction. Everything went down by 10%. Tesla, you know. It was that random. It was pretty random. It was not like because it was a major saga. Actually, it was just like it happened and everybody started talking about it overnight. What just happened, right? It just went down, right? And then it picked back up again. So you're 100% right. It doesn't tag into a news so closely, right? It happens. Of course, there are multiple factors as well. And guys, just be careful when you hear people backtracking results. It's very easy to look at past data. And so be careful about random diagnostic as well. Like what Ken say is really true. Sometimes when it happens, it happens. It's easy to look back at the old data and claim you know how it happens, right? There's the easy part. But it's more important to understand that just don't go in the market speculating. I think it's just not a healthy way of looking at investment as well.
So then what's the safest way to invest in this climate?
You make a very good point. So invest in a company that you understand and you know like fundamentally how they do in terms of the business like this year and next year. You know what's their growth projection and invest in it. That's it. There's no secret science. There's no what. And if you do this over the long term, you can make a lot of money. Like you look at Warren Buffett, most of his wealth was made above 70 or 68. I can't remember something like that.
Much older.
Much older.
Yeah. And all he did is just invest in great company. That was his time value. I don't believe value is now. In fact, he's been underperforming S&P for the past 15 years. So you have to just follow the same process where you just got to trust that this system that you understand that this kind of companies that will do well over the long term if you understand what you invested.
So Warren Buffett recently came out and then to make a conversation about how precious metal will increase in 15%. And the market will go two ways. So I said, I just want to make this, and you guys make a comment on this. It says that in the retail space, it's either the rental will drop or the food will be more expensive because right now everything is spaced out. If everything is spaced out, business revenue drops. So there's only two scenarios. Either the business up the price to increase, that means everything's cost of living become more expensive, or rental will drop. So in his speculation, he says that cost of living will grow inflation in the next few years to come, even though the market is shrinking. And hence, everything will be doing, will have the trickle-down effect of happening. What do y'all think about this this outlook of market because of COVID?
I used to listen to Warren Buffett a lot, but his underperformance is quite it's an excuse. So I don't really listen to him that much anymore. I prefer his advice when he was much younger, when he talks about concentration versus diversification and stuff. Those are good stuff. Right now, he talks about crypto. I mean, whatever he says now, it's just 1 year in, 1 year out. I cannot absorb what he says now.
I'm thinking about like it could be very possible that the cost of living may increase. The cost of raw materials are increasing because import, export, all these are slowing down, right? So it's natural that business owner will pass this cost to the consumer and they'll have to pay a higher price for it. So yeah, I do think to some extent probably the cost of living for normal people, normal consumer may be rising, right? I mean, talking about the cost of buying properties as well, these are all increasing.
Yeah. I just think that the options of purchase shrink anecdotally, not researchly. So what do I mean is that previously we have travels, we have this, we have that. So suddenly the things that we can get exposed to buying shrinks. The things that we once need, like, I mean, come on, if you're locked down at home for 1 year, how many clothes do you need? So you get my point. So everything just starts shrinking. Then because of that shrinking in terms of options, people are actually less sensitive when it comes to price because they suddenly have a bigger pocket share. And I speak in a position of privileged clients because I'm talking about them being in a middle class or and above, right? So
can I go on max privilege for you? Every 1 month or so, I usually have monthly lunch with my privileged friends. Yeah, so privileged people, we don't look at numbers.
Price tags.
Price tag. So usually when the bill comes, we just somebody could add a $500 meal, somebody add a $100 meal, but we just throw our cards on the table and we just split it.
So you probably didn't even realize that the price has increased, if the price has increased.
Yeah, we don't look at the numbers. We just split it equally. It's more like the company.
So that effect, I think, is transcending downwards. Even if someone is making like 5K income, they get a little bit loose in their spending now because there's nothing much to buy. Just globally, people are still looking to spend. People are not saving. Yeah. So I think expenses will go up by the roof. Cost of living in a way because of such pressure of like loose spending, right, will go up. Yeah.
Well, what do you think about in the business perspective? Like as a business owner, will you be more inclined to increase the price? Let's say maybe because of COVID, right? Your business is not doing as well.
Actually, you make a very good point. Yeah, as a business owner, you actually increase your price. I mean, you are given a choice, and COVID is one of the best excuses to increase your price. Yes, and that's where inflation comes in.
People always use this pandemic as an excuse. You know, when a business don't do well, they shut down. They say, "Oh, it's because of COVID."
But actually, it's
your business don't do well. Yeah, they do have a plan even previously, right? I mean, if your business is doing well, you should have a runway of at least 2 to 3 months of cash flow. So the fact that they shut down so fast is because, and also now they can easily increase the price because of the pandemic. Support the local, because we're gonna have lesser now. So I think this will be happening. I just think that maybe per item it might not be increasing, but in terms of average cart value, that means how much are they checking out from Amazon, from a restaurant, right? I think it'll be increasing because heck it, I'm just gonna get another 2 more sites. I'm not gonna buy the random things from Amazon that I always wanted, and they toy around, right? I mean, we know that in Singapore there's a IT mall. Almost all their tech products got wiped out during COVID. The entire date mall is this date mall called Sim Lim in Singapore, right?
The scam mall.
The scam mall that is famous for like overhyping price, right? And thanks for Amazon, our price become transparent. So actually all their tech equipment got wiped out. What Ken mentioned is very clear, it's very beautiful. If a company can present a very clear 1 to 2 year strategy about what we're going to do during this pandemic to make money, and they can show their performance, right? That's where the market will start to divide. The adaptable people and the old school businesses, listed company, they're not going to do well.
I've been through this cycle before. I know. I've been through the Apple, Facebook cycle. Before that, my dad talks to me about the stock market since I was like, he's been retired from investment for 20 over years. So I know this, I have this gut feel that I know this is going to happen. Strong companies will play out really, really well, and the returns from investing in the right company is going to be life-changing.
And you look at Disney Plus, for the first time, they are being forced to launch movie in a streaming app, which will make them much lower compared to launching in a theater. How Disney is going to respond to launching movies at such multi-million-dollar production in a phone and expect people to pay at that kind of volume, right? It's going to be a question mark. If they do well, they will change the whole movie industry. If they do badly, you'll see the slump in the next creative scene for the next 10 years. I think that's quite interesting.
I see Disney as quite innovative as they've been all this while. I mean, they are not old school, so I think they will do all right.
Oh, you don't think they're old school? You think they're innovative?
Yeah.
That's nice to hear that.
They are copyish innovative. So like Netflix came out, they after a while realized, hey, I better switch.
Because they are big boys, right? They can just buy.
Them switching over to like Disney Plus, it is innovative, right? In their own way.
It is okay. No, I'll say it is adaptive.
Adaptive,
Okay, it's adaptive.
It's adaptive. So they are not like, oh, I'm just gonna do my movie. You know, they say, you know what? I acknowledge that people are watching from on demand,
home,
right? So let me just do it this way. I think they are. I think it's a good job. So I like Disney, but I just don't think it will grow as fast. But I think you are right. In the next 1-2 years, you will see, we call it the sheeps from the goat. Goat as in the greatest of all time. The sheeps are everybody else. They're gonna, this distinction will pan out very, very clearly. So one last advice. With all this happening around the world, what will be your investment tips? Okay, you guys both. What are the investment tips for folks at home right now?
This is the best time to actually buy into the stock market. It's a sideways market, and by the time if the good news come and you see all the investors piling in, I can tell you that it's too late. So don't think about the next market crash, dollar cost average, and the best companies, and you will do very, very well.
I think, so don't try to time the market because you really don't know when like the next outburst is going to happen again, right? And whether how fast it's going to trickle down to like the stock crashing, and also just don't time the market.
Just be in the market.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Watch out for the crypto scene, my crypto friends, right? Because I think that when the market goes sideways, people are naturally like dramatic people.
Drama hook.
Yeah, they're just going to look for something that's more exciting, right? So I think that's why you see recently Ethereum just went up by double and stuff like that, right? And of course, just as a message from this video, we hope that globally this COVID will be will be a situation that's very under control. We hope there'll be less casualty, and we hope that people will be able to live their life as per normal as well. And if you're privileged enough to invest, go out there and invest and do good with your money, right? Because there's a lot of people out there who don't have this opportunity to even watch a show like this, from a phone, to have a streaming app to watch YouTube. Yeah. So in this privileged position, if you can do good to your money, to support whatever community, right? I think that will be very helpful for whichever country you're from, to really rally up this spirit and survive through this period.
So wherever you are in the world, please take care of yourself. Mask up. You could get reinfected, and just proper immunity, take your vitamin C, and just live safe.
With that, coming to the end of this episode, right? I hope you guys learned something. Our best regards and best wishes for you all out there around the world, right? And if you have any comment about the situation, and if you have any speculation on what you think the world and the investment will go, right? Comment at the bottom. We will read them and we'll try our best to reply them. See you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye-bye.